Welcome to a sanctuary of wisdom, a space where we embark on a journey to unlock the secrets to a more peaceful and meaningful existence. As we navigate the intricate tapestry of life, we inevitably encounter conflicts, complex relationships, and challenging situations that test the very core of our being. How we conduct ourselves in these pivotal moments not only reveals our true character, but also profoundly impacts those around us, creating ripples that extend far beyond our immediate sphere. A truly wise individual isn't necessarily the one possessing vast knowledge or profound intellect. Rather, it's someone who has mastered the art of skillful interaction, fostering harmony, and upholding respect in all their relationships, both professional and personal. Sometimes, a single thoughtless remark or an impulsive action can trigger unforeseen and far-reaching consequences, like a pebble dropped into a still pond, creating ripples that disrupt the tranquility. Conversely, those who possess the ability to master their emotions, maintaining composure and cultivating trust in others, can navigate life's turbulent waters with greater ease, preserving their inner peace and equilibrium amidst the storms. In today's exploration, we will delve into 9 artful rules of engagement, principles often employed by wise individuals to foster stronger connections and navigate life's complexities with grace and wisdom. These guiding principles not only empower us to cultivate and nurture meaningful relationships, but also pave the way for a life of serenity, respect, and lasting impact. Let us, together with the wisdom of Stoicism, unearth these invaluable lessons, transforming them into tools for personal growth and harmonious living. First, emotional mastery. In the human experience, emotions are an undeniable, intrinsic element of our very being. There are moments of unbounded joy and happiness, and times when we are submerged in the depths of sorrow and anger. Experiencing this spectrum of emotions is part of what makes us human. However, what matters most is how we choose to manage and respond to these intense feelings. A truly wise person never lets negative emotions dictate their actions. Instead, they cultivate the ability to remain calm, thoughtfully considering all angles before making any decision. When negative emotions such as anger or sorrow arise, they can lead to dire consequences if left unchecked. A careless word spoken in anger can shatter a relationship painstakingly built over many years. A rash, impulsive act can lead to regrets that linger for a lifetime. It is vital to remember the power of pausing and taking a breath. The saying, "Think before you speak," is not merely a reminder to be cautious in our speech. It highlights the need to control our emotions before acting. A wise person knows when to pause, allowing emotions to subside before acting. They never allow impulsive reactions to damage their relationships or goals. It is this ability that helps them avoid unnecessary conflicts and, more importantly, protect their precious relationships. Emotional mastery is not just important in our professional lives, but is also essential in our personal lives. When we can remain calm, we not only maintain harmony with others, but create a sense of security and trust for those around us. With just a bit of emotional intelligence, we can create and maintain deeper and more meaningful relationships. Second, be selective about what you share. A wise person understands that not all matters need to be shared with everyone. Silence and discretion are sometimes the best ways to protect oneself and relationships. There is wisdom in the saying, "Silence is golden," and this often holds true. Sharing too much about our lives can lead to unintended consequences, and not everyone deserves our trust. A wise individual is always careful when speaking about their private life. Choosing who to confide in is an essential skill. Not everyone is trustworthy or has the best intentions when listening to our revelations. When we share too much, especially personal issues or weaknesses, we make ourselves vulnerable. Once words leave our mouths, they cannot be retrieved. They can be twisted, misunderstood, or even used to harm us. Keeping some information private also helps maintain balance and control in relationships. When others don't know everything about us, it creates a sense of mystery and subtle power in communication. By keeping our thoughts, emotions, or plans to ourselves, we protect ourselves from unnecessary risks and build confidence in all situations. Maintaining privacy also helps us avoid misunderstandings. When we share too much, especially about sensitive topics, listeners may misinterpret our intentions or relay information inaccurately. This can easily lead to conflicts or damage to otherwise good relationships. Sometimes, remaining silent and resolving issues independently is the best way to avoid being influenced by external opinions and to maintain clarity in our thoughts. Wise people understand that we don't always need others to empathize with us. Facing and resolving problems alone often leads to wiser decisions. Silence and discretion in necessary situations are signs of maturity and skillful social communication. 3. Avoid overly direct criticism. Criticism and feedback are unavoidable in life, from our jobs to our personal relationships. However, a wise person understands that how we give feedback or criticism can have profound effects on the recipient. If we are too blunt, our words can be like sharp knives that cut into the other person's self-esteem, creating wounds that are hard to heal. For example, in the workplace, if a new colleague makes a mistake and we criticize them harshly, it will not only embarrass and demoralize them, but will strain our relationship. A wise person knows how to handle the situation gently, using gentle and tactful words to offer suggestions. This helps others recognize their mistakes while maintaining good relations. Sometimes, being gentle yields greater results than being bluntly critical. The saying, "Think before you speak," reminds us to be careful when we express ourselves. Careless or overly harsh words can cause misunderstandings, divisions, and even the loss of important relationships that we have worked hard to build. Each person has their own background, personality, and feelings. When we offer criticism, we must put ourselves in the listener's shoes to consider whether they can handle directness. Skillful criticism is not about avoiding the truth, but about presenting the issue gently, respecting the other person, so they can accept it without feeling hurt. For example, if parents are too harsh when criticizing their children, the children will feel pressured and lose motivation. Instead, gentle words of encouragement and advice will help them recognize their mistakes while still feeling loved and respected. Wise people know that words have tremendous power. Criticism is an art, and that art lies in choosing the right way to communicate, preserving respect, and avoiding harm to others. This sensitivity in speech helps us maintain long-lasting, stable, and more cohesive relationships in life. 4. Silence as a tactful refusal. In life, we don't always need to say everything. Sometimes, silence speaks volumes. Wise individuals know when to speak up and when to remain silent. Silence is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is a sign of wisdom and the ability to control a situation. When faced with unreasonable requests or suggestions, silence can be a subtle way to decline without hurting anyone. For example, in a personal relationship, if we receive unwanted attention, silence is enough to convey that we do not want to continue. That silence helps us avoid unnecessary tensions and protects the relationship from conflict. In communication, the saying, "Speech is silver, silence is golden," holds true. Silence can sometimes be more powerful than thousands of words. Wise individuals know that they don't always have to respond immediately. Silence helps us think clearly, avoid being led by emotions, and prevents hasty decisions. However, silence is not always easy, especially in a world where people are pressured to respond instantly. Yet, in those moments, silence becomes an expression of calmness, confidence, and emotional control. People who can remain silent when needed are often insightful and skillful in handling situations. Of course, silence is not always the perfect solution. If not handled skillfully, It can be mistaken for indifference or lack of concern. Wisdom lies in knowing when to be silent and when to speak up. Wise people understand the context and purpose of silence, using it as a powerful tool to convey messages without having to speak. In social situations, remaining silent is sometimes the best way to avoid hurting others and maintain harmony. It is not necessary to argue or say things that may cause conflict. Wise people know that silence is not just a refusal, but a way to protect relationships, preserve respect, and maintain harmony in communication. 5. Trustworthiness and honesty. Trust is extremely important in life. Wise people understand that once lost, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to regain. The proverb, "Once trust is broken, it's broken forever," emphasizes that if we lose our honesty, it is difficult to regain the trust of others. Trust is not just a moral value. It is also the key to building and maintaining long-term relationships. Wise individuals uphold trust as a principle in life. They understand that it not only builds trust, but also helps them become reliable in all situations. This does not mean we should always speak every truth without consideration, but lying is certainly not the way to build good relationships. Honesty needs to be combined with tact to avoid hurting others. In personal relationships, love, or work, trust creates a solid foundation for others to believe in and rely on us. Wise people know that lies may temporarily hide the truth, but eventually, the truth will come out. Once deception is exposed, all the values we have built will crumble, and the consequences may be more severe than telling the truth from the beginning. Trust is not only important in romantic relationships, but also in work and social life. A person who has lost the trust of others will no longer have the opportunity to cooperate effectively. Trust is the foundation of every relationship, and once it is lost, all respect, cooperation, or even affection can easily vanish. Wise people understand that trust is not only a moral expression, but also a powerful weapon that helps them maintain and develop long-term relationships. Honesty does not mean saying everything without thinking, but knowing how to communicate with sincerity, without using lies to manipulate or control others. Wise people always find ways to maintain trust by speaking the truth skillfully and thoughtfully, helping others feel secure and believe in them. Ultimately, trust and honesty are the core elements that help us build trust and maintain long-term relationships. Wise people never use lies to create a perfect image because they understand that such artificial perfection is only temporary. Instead, they choose sincerity and steadfastness, balancing truth and skill in communication to protect themselves and build relationships based on lasting trust. 6. Remembering names. In everyday interactions, one simple act reflects a person's wisdom and refinement: remembering names. Wise people understand that remembering a name is not just basic etiquette, but a way to show genuine respect and care for the other person. A name is not just a title. It contains the story, identity, and memories of each individual. When we remember someone's name, we maintain the connection between two people. It not only builds good relationships, but also makes the other person feel valued and respected. Wise people understand that knowing someone's name is the first step to understanding and building a lasting relationship. A person may not know everything, but if they know how to remember names, they have created a positive and sincere impression in the other person's eyes. Imagine meeting someone after a long time and they still remember your name. Their eyes light up, and you have immediately built a good line of communication. Wise people don't need to be good at everything, but knowing how to remember names is an expression of sophistication in conduct. Forgetting a name can sometimes be seen as a lack of interest, which, in the eyes of the other person, can diminish respect for you. Remembering names is not an innate ability, but the result of paying attention and showing genuine care, invaluable gifts we can give to others. Wise individuals understand something simple yet profound. Remembering someone's name is not just good manners. It is a key that unlocks important doors to trust, connection, and enduring relationships. In modern society, where everything is fast-paced and superficial, such a small act becomes even more meaningful and cherished. B. Punctuality in life. One of the clearest measures of respect and wisdom is being punctual. Being on time is not just a good habit. It is a statement of respect for the time and effort of others. As the saying goes, time is money, and the value of time lies not only in the ability to earn money, but also in building and maintaining lasting relationships. Wise people understand that when we promise to be on time, it is not just fulfilling a promise, but affirming our reliability and credibility. Conversely, when we are late, even by a few minutes, we inadvertently make others feel disrespected and lose faith in us. This is especially important in the workplace, where punctuality is not just politeness, but an expression of professionalism and responsibility. Being late not only erodes trust, but also creates a bad impression of disrespecting others' time. Wise people will never make others wait too long because they understand that each lateness diminishes trust and respect. A typical example is the story of Min, who had a habit of chronic lateness. Initially, his friends were understanding and waited for him, but after repeated instances, their patience wore thin. One day, when Min arranged to meet his friends, no one showed up. It was then that Min realized that being late not only wasted others' time, but also hurt their self-esteem, and more importantly, it gradually destroyed valuable relationships. Because of this habit, Min gradually lost his close friends. Wise people always cherish every moment, not only for themselves, but also for others. They see punctuality as a measure of trust and credibility. When we respect the time of others, we are also building trust and creating respect for ourselves. Thus, being on time is not just a sign of courtesy, but also a way to affirm our value in the eyes of others. C. Avoid excessive conceit when praised. In life, all of us feel happy and proud when we receive compliments. However, wise people always understand that no matter how praised we are, we should not let those praises blind us. Praise is like sunlight. It can brighten emotions, but it can also burn if we don't adjust ourselves. Wise people always maintain calmness, not letting arrogance or complacency dominate their minds. The achievements we attain may bring praise from others, but we must remember that those are just milestones on a long journey. If we only indulge in pride, we will easily lose motivation and forget our greater goals. There is a great saying, arrogance invites harm, humility invites benefit. Humility does not mean not recognizing our own value. It means knowing how to keep our minds from being swept away by illusions of perfection. Looking at truly successful people, we will see that they never let praise become an obstacle on their path forward. They know that success comes not only from talent, but from persistence and relentless effort. A wise person always maintains humility, understanding that praise is fleeting. When commended, they use it as motivation to strive further and improve themselves. They avoid complacency, realizing that being misled by praise can easily lead to losing clarity and direction in life. Maintaining humility is a way to progress further, not only in work, but also in social relationships. D. Be wary of sudden friendliness. In life, we often encounter unexpected situations where someone we haven't heard from in a long time suddenly reappears, acting friendly and caring. This might surprise or even delight us. However, a wise person remains cautious in such situations. They understand that not all friendliness stems from goodwill, and caution is necessary to avoid being taken advantage of. There are two common scenarios. In the first, the person genuinely has good intentions, wanting to reconnect out of remembrance or simply to maintain the relationship. These individuals have no ulterior motives, and communicating with them poses no concern. However, even in this case, vigilance is still needed to protect oneself from unnecessary risks. The second, more common scenario is when someone approaches you for personal gain, seeking help or asking you to do something. A wise person knows that not everyone is sincere, and they maintain a distance to discern the contact's true motives. When someone suddenly contacts you after a long absence, it's essential to carefully consider whether they have any hidden agendas. While an immediate rejection isn't always necessary, it's crucial to assess the reasonableness and legitimacy of their request before deciding to help. If you find that you can help and the relationship holds value, then support should be offered cautiously and fairly. The saying, "You scratch my back, and I'll scratch yours," emphasizes that help should be mutually beneficial, not just unconditional giving. Ultimately, a wise person maintains vigilance not only to protect themselves, but also to sustain healthy relationships. Caution doesn't imply unkindness or indifference, but rather demonstrates maturity and intelligence in social interactions. They understand that people sometimes approach others for personal gain, and recognizing motives is a way to avoid harm or exploitation. Through thoughtful consideration, they protect themselves and maintain relationships in a healthy and reasonable manner. Ladies and gentlemen, through these skillfully shared rules of conduct, we can see that wisdom doesn't always come from book knowledge, but also from how we behave in various life situations. From knowing how to control emotions, keeping promises, to listening, being silent at the right moment, or remembering someone's name, all are small actions that make a significant difference in building and maintaining relationships. A wise person isn't always trying to appear perfect, but knows how to maintain respect, sincerity, and awareness in communication. These principles will help us navigate life's ups and downs while maintaining peace and respectability. Thank you for listening and accompanying the Stoic Wisdom channel. We hope these insights will help you live a peaceful, happy, and successful life. Please subscribe to the channel to continue following more valuable lessons. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos. Where does a person's blessed appearance come from? A blessed appearance, signifying good fortune and luck, doesn't solely come from physical features, but is also linked to one's way of life and character. Wealth doesn't arise spontaneously. It comes from generosity and sharing. Respect from others isn't easily attained. It requires humility and respect in how one treats others. The good things in life always have a cause, like an inseparable connection between the soul and blessings. A full, bright face, indicative of a truly blessed person, can only belong to those who live with kindness and compassion. Upon entering middle age, a person's appearance is largely influenced by their current character and attitude toward life. The face mirrors thoughts and actions accumulated over time, predicting their future destiny. People with violent, irritable personalities often have tense, fierce expressions. Conversely, those with kindness and generosity radiate a gentle light, making others feel comfortable around them. Character determines appearance, not just genetics. The first half of life is greatly influenced by past karma, while the latter half is influenced by actions and decisions in this lifetime. Therefore, upon reaching middle age, people need to take responsibility for their appearance and future. A kind soul determines beauty. A kind, compassionate soul not only makes life more meaningful, but also makes one's appearance more pleasing. Those with compassion radiate positive energy, attracting attention and creating goodwill. Conversely, selfish, cunning, and calculating individuals gradually lose their natural beauty, even if they were born with an attractive face. With prolonged contact, one easily notices coldness and calculation in their eyes and smiles. This shows that appearance isn't immutable. It changes with time and character. To have a truly beautiful appearance, one must first care for the soul. Beautify from within. If the heart is beautiful, the appearance will shine brightly. Life lessons and attitudes. Someone willing to take a loss ultimately won't. In life, Those willing to endure losses are often the truly strong and wealthy, not materially, but in spirit and social connections. With friends, sometimes enduring a slight loss can maintain a lasting friendship, fostering mutual trust. In families, frequent concessions help maintain harmony, building solid family relationships. In business, entrepreneurs willing to give more, providing more value to customers, often receive invaluable trust in return. This trust is the foundation for opening up many development opportunities. Sometimes, a small opportunity is enough to change an entire life. Those who dare to take a loss never truly lose because they have built a network of good and reliable relationships. These are priceless things that cannot be bought. Greed for small gains leads to greater losses. Greed for small benefits can lead to losing significant values. In society, people always trying to exploit situations, taking advantage of others for personal gain, soon lose everyone's trust and respect. When you only pay attention to immediate benefits, you won't see the big opportunities waiting behind. Look at those who only seek to evade responsibilities, avoid paying bills, or try to save a little from insincere actions. Ultimately, they not only lose the respect of others, but also miss out on significant opportunities they don't realize. Greed not only harms relationships, but also hinders long-term personal development. Live with a sincere and honest heart, and don't let small gains blind you. A full heart is called rich, being needed by others is called noble. A wealthy life isn't measured by material possessions, but by fullness of the soul. When your soul is full, you no longer feel lacking and always feel at peace with what you have. Spiritual wealth brings a sense of comfort and true happiness. When you become someone others need, that shows your value. Being needed, respected, and trusted is the greatest form of nobility one can achieve. A truly wealthy person is someone who can give without feeling a loss and is always respected for the values they bring to the community and society. Happiness isn't a personality trait, but a skill. Happiness isn't just a fleeting emotional state, but a skill that can be trained. Happiness lies in one's ability to control thoughts, adjust emotions, and face difficulties positively. Happy people know how to find joy in simple things, not worrying too much about trivial matters or profiting from others. They appreciate what they have and don't let themselves be consumed by meaningless desires. Happiness is a choice, and everyone can learn to live happily if they know how to change their mindset and see life from a more positive perspective. The best way to resolve worries is to forget them. Worrying only drains energy and spirit, making people tense and losing clarity. Life is always full of difficulties and challenges, but instead of worrying about things that haven't happened, focus on what you can control now. When worried, find ways to forget them by focusing on positive things or simply relaxing, doing things you enjoy. Only when you let go of worries does the mind truly become free and clear. You'll realize that many things you worry about aren't as important as you think, and worrying only makes you lose joy in life. Non-contention is compassion. Non-argument is wisdom. Contention and argument only make life more stressful. The feeling of exhaustion and fatigue comes when we give up all struggles. But at that moment, another door opens.